morning and welcome to Eagle Break News. We have a very special segment for you this morning. We have discovered a time machine in our basement. Earlier today, after an intense game of rock, paper, scissors, our reporter, Ashley Elkins, was chosen to travel back into time. The time machine was a little rusty, and the only place we could send her was Germany in 1919. A really interesting movement was happening at this time, however, and it is known as the Bauhaus movement. During the Bauhaus movement, there was a school of design established by Walter Gropius in Weimar in 1919. Side note, it's the same year that JBU was established. The Bauhaus School was a school whose mission was to encompass the totality of artistic media, bringing artists and craftsmen together. There were no class distinctions between artists. Rather, the school treated every art and field equally. The Bauhaus is best known for its design of objects based on functionality and simplicity. But now for the exciting part. Let's get an on-hand look at how the school's running in Weimar in 1923, after the Bauhaus has been established for several years. Let's go to our reporter on the field. Ashley?
Thank you, Kristen. I'm here with the director of the Bauhaus and also the founder. His name is Walter Gropius. And thank you so much for being here. Hello.
Hello, how are you doing
I'm
today?
good. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born in Germany in 1883, and I studied architecture in Munich and Berlin until I put my studies on hold because I was qualified to work with the 15th Regiment of the Hussars. Once I was qualified, I joined Peter Berhin in 1907. That was the year Berhin became the chief editor for AEG, and 3 years later I left AEG and I started working on my own. And this is when I got the commission that made me very known in Germany. And I made the Fagus factory, which people have told me was surprising for its time, because I used such things as glass and steel where there should have been load-bearing walls.
Very interesting. Can you tell me a little bit, do you have like any influences in your family artistically?
Very many. My family was very strong in education and architecture. My grandfather was a well-known painter and friend of famous architect Schinkel. My great-uncle designed the Berlin Museum of Arts and Crafts and had been director of the school associated with that. My father was also an architect.
Very cool. Besides buildings and things like that, what else have you designed?
I've tried my hand at designing furniture, wallpaper, diesel locomotives, and the fittings for railroad carriages.
So what were the first steps you took towards opening the Bauhaus?
I wrote the authorities of Weimar, started there, and I told them that I had immersed myself in, for a very long time, in the idea of giving Weimar a new kind of artistic life, and having very specific plans for doing so. During February and March of 1919, I traveled several times to Weimar and discussed the plans. And on April 1st, I was appointed director of Academy Arts, Fine Arts, sorry. And on April 12th, I received permission to unite the institutes with the reopened School of Arts and Crafts.
At that time, what were your long-term plans?
The idea for Weimar was not a small one. The reason I chose Weimar was because it was a very large artistic town already, and I just wanted to redirect it in a more appropriate way. So
what are some of the aims of the Bauhaus?
Well, our first aim was to isolate all the different categories that go into the arts and join them to make big projects rather than just, I'm a painter, I'm a sculptor, you add them all together and you create great things. Our second aim was to elevate the status of the crafts and make it more of a fine art rather than just something you do for fun. And our third thing was we wanted to establish a constant contact with the leaders of the crafts and industry of our country.
Very nice. So what are your thoughts about politics and the Bauhaus?
Well, I told one of my friends back in the 1920s that I wanted to create a community here in Weimar that was very unpolitical. If Weimar and the Bauhaus was, if the Bauhaus was going to be political, it wouldn't work. It needed to be unpolitical, or else its political opponents would believe against it as a technique.
I really like that idea. So if somebody wanted to apply to become a student here, how would they go about that?
Well, it's first the students have to provide examples of their own work, and they have to show us a statement of the financial situation along with medical certificates, details of previous apprentice work, and written assurance of the local police force that nothing is against them, so there are no felonies or something like that.
Okay. Wow, that's a lot. Is it easy to become a student?
Not really. We have very few places. On average, we only accept about 100 students here at any one time. And reaction letters after the 6-month trial period are numerous.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Walter.
No
and
problem.
back to you in the studio, Kristen.
Yes, back to you, Christian.
Thank you, Ashley. Wow, isn't that great insight? Next, we're sending Ashley to Deseo, where the Bauhaus was forced to relocate in 1925 and remain there until 1932. During this time, the Bauhaus was undergoing a lot of changes. One of the main changes during this time was in 1928, when the founder and director of the Bauhaus School, Walter Gropius, gave control over to Hannes Mayer, a Swiss architect, to be the new director. Hannes Mayer had a different approach to art. He believed that art should be exclusively used for social benefit. Mayer believed that buildings should be low cost and designed only to fulfill social needs, that there was no need for aesthetics. Mayer was also an ardent Marxist and communist, which ultimately led to his resignation in 1930 because of political differences. The new director appointed in Meyer's place and final director of the Bauhaus School was Ludwig Miles van der Rohe. During his position at the school, Miles van der Rohe attempts to keep the Bauhaus out of all political conflicts and expels any students belonging to communist organizations. But as we discover later, the school is also struggling financially and under pressure from nationalist socialists. The Bauhaus is again closed in 1932. Now we go live to Ashley, who is interviewing Miles van der Rohe at the preliminary stages as the new director. Although it has been quite the transition, I believe he is still excited to have the honor to be a part of the school and hasn't quite yet experienced the financial strain on the school. Ashley?
Thank you, Kristen. I am here with the new director of the Bauhaus. His name is Ludwig Miles van der Rohe. So tell me, are you excited about your new position here?
Yeah, very much. The Bauhaus is a wonderful movement. I'm honored to be part of this school. The future is looking great. We are trying to do big things in the school.
So when you say big things, is there anything like in particular your predecessor had 2 big projects going on at the school that they were building and designing? The Federal School of the German Trade Union made, as well as like 5 apartment buildings here in Deseo. Under his side, the school turned its first profit.
Yeah, we do have some big change planned for the future. The school will be really big in the next year. We are trying to achieve big success and also have more students involved.
Now, Mr. Mize, we've also heard that there are some big changes coming up for the school's enrolled students due to the shifting government in Germany. Do you have any comments you'd like to make on that?
Yeah, this is true. The shift government that is going on in Germany is affecting us. We're planning to interview every student to see in what position they are at and making sure they are committed to us. We're also hold the school manufacturing and have it.
Okay, guys, we gotta get out of here, guys. It's not safe to be here.
Thanks again, Ashley. Boy, I sure hope van der Rohe is prepared for what he's going to face next. As I stated earlier, the Bauhaus School in Deseo will be forced to close because of financial situations and the pressure of nationalist socialists. We are now in the final years of the Bauhaus movement, It is in late 1932 that Miles van der Rohe begins to rent a vacant factory in Berlin to use as the new Bauhaus school with his own money. The students and faculty will try their best to renew the building with what little funds they have, scraping up just enough money to paint the interior white. Although the attempts to keep the school alive are hopeful and with good intention, there is just too much social pressure and opposition against the school. The school sadly lasts only until 1933, when it was finally overturned and shut down by the Nazis. Today, the Bauhaus is known as one of the most, if not the most, influential modernist art schools of the 20th century, and is still impacting the way art is taught today. Reporting live from Siloam Springs, Arkansas, Eagle Break News, Channel 4. Thank you.
오빤 강남스타일 강남스타일 낮에는 따사로운 인간적인 여자 커피 한 잔에 여유를 아는 품격 있는 여자 밤이 오면 심장이 뜨거워지는 여자 그런 반전 있는 여자